All right, good evening, everybody. We want to thank you all for joining us in our first football officials webinar. And today we are fortunate enough to have the Broward Football Officials Association joining us. We've got Chris, we've got Tyrone, Zach, and Jeff, who will be leading the discussion today or this evening. I'm Robbie Lindeman with the FHSA, the football administrator. And we're here with Lisa as well, who will also be a part of the webinar as well. Want to thank you all for taking the time this evening as we get started with trainings through all out the state. And we start football 2022. I can't believe we're already making those steps towards the 2022-23 school year. I know our student athletes are gearing up for another great school year, and we're excited to get out there on the football field. Look forward to listening to the 7-Man Mechanics by Zach, Jeff, and Chris. And Lisa, do you have anything?
I just want to say hello and how are you guys? I'm glad to meet you all. I'm excited about this year. And I hope you have a wonderful year. It's going to be a great year. But thanks again for inviting me and letting me be on this Zoom meeting tonight. I appreciate it.
All right, Chris, Zach, Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you all. Look forward to hearing y'all 7-Man Mechanics presentation.
All right, thank you. Tyrone, do you want to introduce yourself?
Real quick, everyone. I'm Tyrone Montgomery. I'm the president of the Broward Football Officials Association. We just want to say thank you to the FHSAA for allowing us to bring forth this presentation to you guys. Zach Marcelovich is our training coordinator, and along with Chris Duvall and Jeff Pratt, they have a wonderful presentation for you guys tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of you guys' way and turn it over to Zach and his team, and they're going to do their thing.
Okay, thank you, Tyrone. And just like Tyrone said, my name is Zach Marcelovich. I'm the BFOA head of training. I've also been a part of the Mid-South Conference and the Sun Conference for, I guess, 7 years now. And both Chris and Jeff are also members of the Mid-South Conference. So we're used to working with 7-Man mechanics. So with that being said, if you have any questions throughout tonight, please use the chat box and we'll get to you guys and we'll answer it as we go through this presentation. We're using Chris's high-speed internet here, so we're going to be able to show you some plays. We're going to show you what good mechanics looks like, and we're ready to roll. So if you guys remember last year, we also did a presentation on 7-Man mechanics, and we got a lot of good feedback from everybody. So we're hoping we can give you guys the same thing this year. And at the end of this presentation, we'll share with you guys our contact information. So if you guys have any questions, you can let us know. All right, Chris, we're ready to move on. Okay, so all this comes from it's an adaptation of the 2021-2022 CCA football officiating manual for Crew 7. What we did is we basically took it, modified it, and made it so it fit the high school game. Now, the NFHS actually came out with a high school mechanic book this year, and a lot of the principles that we had is also included in there as well. Okay. All right, so just a little background real quick about our BFOA 7-Man program. We implemented it 2 years ago, and basically what we do is we have college officials come in and teach us about 7-Man programs through Zoom calls. Okay, so we use them to help out everybody, and they come in there and they help us train and whatnot. Then what we do is we use the spring games as our kind of our evaluation period, where we look to see who can be on our full-time 7-man crew that we run. And what it's done for us is it's absolutely helped us dramatically improve our officiating throughout the county. We're able to service about 3 full-time 7-man games in the county per week now. And the coaches have really talked about how this has been one of the best programs that they've seen, and how the officiating in Broward has really improved over the last couple of years. Another cool thing about it is we've been able to get 5 guys that started in this program are now working college ball. So it's really, really, really good that we have this involvement from our collegiate officials that kind of give back to our association. And finally, the last 2 years that we've sent out playoff crews, we've gotten comments from neighboring associations that say, dang, you guys look pretty good. So we're proud of this program, and we're hoping that you guys can learn something from this tonight, okay? All right, so with that being said, we have a proposal, and I think, Chris, you were going to talk about this, correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for that intro. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here participating and presenting this and working with all of our fellow officials here in the state of Florida. And thank you to FHSAA. So the proposal for the 2022 season, when running a 7-man mechanic game, if you have that opportunity to run a 7-man mechanic game, or just something that you can prepare in your association as you head to the FHSAA state playoff series, is the flipping of sides. So in the CCA mechanic book, when you start off as a wing, traditionally you always, all the wings would flip, if you're the head linesman, you'll be starting, and the side judge, you'll be starting on the press box side, so away from the chains. Traditionally, a head linesman will be starting with the chains. So we follow this CCA mechanic. We enjoy it. It honestly improves the game management. Coaches get a different taste of an official or different officials. Have different dialogue. Sometimes it's good joking dialogue. Hey, I didn't like that person before you, things like that. But there's a reason why this is done at the upper levels. It just, like I said, helps with the game management, provides like that different perspective to each official, a different management of their sideline, different teams, different ways, whole different perspective from their end. And then the key thing here is that each half is seen as a fresh start. So you were working the chains, you got a feel for them, you helped, with what you would expect. And then all of a sudden your counterpart, your other short wing comes over, you can help them, give them some pointers on what you thought was working well with the chain crew. So that's just a proposal, something food for thought for everyone to take away from this call, but it works for us and we like to use it in our association. So just to get us through the agenda for today, those are some intro topics. We're going to talk about pregame, what is a little bit unique to a 7-man crew when they're getting to the game, what to do in boxing, the pregame 45-45. We'll get into those details. Then we're going to go through the usual flow of areas that we would want to be paying attention to, which is free kick, punt, run, pass plays, scrimmage plays, essentially special situations, and penalty enforcement. We're going to try to work as quick as possible. So to do so, like Zach mentioned, go into the chat box, share your thoughts there. We'll try to answer them that way, just because we have some plays queued up that we'd like for everyone to see. So,
and also, sorry to chime in, as Zach also just posted in the chat box, this presentation will also be posted on the FHSA website, so you can review it and go back to it at a later time.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Okay,
All right.
so pregame.
So pregame, basically, if you're the R and the U, you're going to do your same thing that you do during 5-man. Okay, you're going to speak to both head coaches. You're going to ask them whatever it is that you ask them during your pregame questions. You're going to ask about equipment. You're going to ask about balls, all that fun stuff. You're going to ask them if they have any crazy plays, whatnot. So you're doing the same exact thing that you would in 5-man as the R and the U. Where it gets a little bit different is what Chris is going to talk about with the short wings when it comes to pregame.
Yep. So for short wings, most important thing is get the chains, right? We all know the difficulties with that, but make sure you get the chains, that you have chain crew accounted for, minimum 3. So you have the box and the chains. If you can have somebody for the clip, that would be great. But what you want to do is always have a script ready to go with the chain crew. We like to first measure out the chains, make sure it's accurate, make sure we have our 5-yard spot, that we take that with a fresh new tape so we can identify that, know we have a short, long 5. And then I also like to always have a safety script, make sure my chain crew understands that they're a part of our team, make sure they stay safe, stay back, stay on the back end of the white, drop the chains backwards if they see a play coming their way. I don't want the chain crew getting hurt. And then also try to make them a part of the team, right? So if they think that I have a first down, when I pass them, I would like them to yell at me, Chris, you have a first down. Chris, you have a first down. Everyone has a different routine. Boxman is the most important person as well. So, you have to have your routine there so that they don't move too quick. You don't want none of the chains moving quick. So you go through that whole script at the beginning in a pregame, and that's what the H and the L will be doing. So now over to Jeff for the deep wings.
So as a side judge and field judge, your pregame responsibilities are a little bit different, which is that you're going to be talking to and be responsible for the ball personnel. So in most of the games, it's obviously going to be probably a kid, one of the players, younger kid. So in the pregame, make sure you get them, you talk to them, have the conversation, have a dialogue with them, get their first names, and decide if you're going to have them, stay close to the short wing, if you're going to have them stay close to the deep wing, if you have them stay in the middle. Generally speaking, we found last year that if you're going to only have one ball personnel per team, which is kind of the norm, then it's best to keep them on the press box side. And whoever is on that side, being the wings, is going to be responsible for them. So that's the easiest thing. Usually I'll talk to them and just, say, listen, your main responsibility is to get the balls. If, if you stay between the two officials, that's the best. I'm going to call your name. I'm going to show you my hands, throw me a ball. Also, I try to make sure they have at least 2 balls. So that way, if there's a field goal, I'll explain to them. If we have a touchdown, put one behind the goalpost. So that way my back judge can take it and go. And then you'll be responsible for getting the other one. That's kind of my normal dialogue with them. Back judge, your main responsibility in the pregame is the actual game balls themselves. So checking the pressure. Amazon has a fantastic little electronic ball pressure reader, and that'll also pump it up or deflate the ball accordingly. So it's like $20, I think, $30. It's a great investment. But back judge, you're responsible for that, for the game balls. Then after those all checks are done. So normally we're taking the field 30 minutes before those checks, those conversations take maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes or something. No, let's say 5 minutes. Then we're doing the no-fly zone, which is, as you see in the diagram, from the 45 to the 45. So you will stay on your respective side of the field. So in the first half, if you do the flipping of the sides per the CCA mechanics manual, then your side judge and head linesman will be press box side, and your F and L will be chain side. Going along with that, then they would be on the 45s. Your back judge basically is on the 50 in the middle of the field, just making sure everybody stays on their own side of the field, camera personnel, coaches, whatever else dealing with those. And then when we talk about getting the snaps, it's great during this time if the short wings can go get, the teams are always doing their little pregame snaps and kind of running through their plays and stuff like that. So if you're a short wing or even a deep wing and you want to get some reps in there just to kind of get your mind and your eyes ready to go, just warmed up, just like everybody else, just tell your wing official, just say, hey, I'm going to go get some snaps in, and then go down and get yours on whatever side you're on. Also, you can watch the punter and the kicker and stuff like that during the pregame. Are the punters kicking 40 yards? Are they kicking 10 yards? Does it look like on the kickoffs we're going to have touchbacks? Does it look like they're going to kick probably to the 25? Just things to be observant during the pregame. That's all.
And just one more thing with the pregame, and I kind of asked it in the chat box. This is where I want you guys to kind of be a little interactive. Does anybody know what the actual PSI level is per high school rule book? So if you do, let me know in the chat box, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so go ahead and move on.
I'm sorry. One last thing on the pregame. This also it's not on the PowerPoint, but also probably the most important thing you can do during this is also introduce yourself to the head coach. Know their first name. And if their first name is, I don't know, Roger, go over and say, hi, Roger, I'm Jeff. I'm be working your sideline today. If you have questions, come up to me, talk to me. We're going to work on this together. So I would say that for short wings and deep wings.
The name of the ball checker device, well, basically, if you go on any Amazon and you just type in electric pump, it will pop up there, and they're usually, like Jeff said, $20 to $30. So just type in electric pump to Amazon and you'll be able to find it. But yeah, usually our back judges have it in our association. All right, moving on to free kicks. The only thing here that's changed, and yes, the correct answer was 12.5 to 13.5 PSI on the ball. And you'll notice that a lot of schools, when they bring out the ball, they're maybe 8 PSI because a lot of them like it flat because they can hold on to it a little bit better. So 12.5 to 13.5 PSI, I would strongly recommend that you guys get your back judges or even your referees to purchase one, especially now because there might be a deal with them on Amazon Prime. All right, So free kicks, the initial positioning on the free kicks is a little bit modified from the CCA mechanic. Basically what happens here is that from the goal line, we go line judge on the goal line, referee on the goal line, and the head linesman on the goal line. Then we put the F and the B on the F is on the 50, the K, which is R's restraining line. S is on the 50, which is R's restraining line. And then B and U will get the ball from the 40, which is K's restraining line. Okay, so those are your initial positionings. There's nothing too difficult about that. Moving on. And Murray, okay, Chris, you got that good.
One side note on that, can you go back to the last one real quick, Chris? Sorry. Although the F and the S flip at halftime, if you're going to go on that, as well as the L and the H, the B and the U do not. So the B is press box side, the U is chain side for that positioning. And that stays the same throughout the game.
All right, so here's where your keys would be on a free kick. So we noticed that the head linesman and line judge all the way down the field, they have the farthest guys on the outside. 2 and 3 go to the side judge at the 50-yard line or the field judge at the 50-yard line. The 4 and 5 will be the umpires and the back judges. So it's very simple. You work your way from the outside in based on where you're at. Okay. All right. So free kick movements is very basic, very simple. Okay. When the ball is caught, L and H, you are responsible for the spot all the way down to the 2-yard line. So all the way down into the 3-yard line, you have the spot. So you got to get on your horse. Okay, F and S, basically what your responsibility is you're responsible for keeping that play boxed in and making sure you get to the goal line. And B and U, you're responsible for coming into the field to checking out the action that's going at the point of attack on the return. Okay, so we're going to show you right now a clip of what is a good free kick coverage. And we're going to go through it. And I'm basically going to show you how it should look when you're looking at a free kick. Okay, so if we pause it right here, what you notice is that all 3 officials, the referee and the 2 short wings are on the goal line. Okay, and then we're going to see a long return. And if you look to the top left part of the screen, you're going to see a good cushion by the deep guy, and you're going to see the B and the U come into the middle of the field. So that's what we're looking for. Go ahead.
Return is going to go left on the screen for everyone to follow.
Okay, so if we pause it right there, you'll see that the back judge and the umpire have moved into the center of the field so they can get a look at the action that's occurring at the middle of the field, looking at the blocks and whatnot that's going on. The R can also take a look at the middle of the field too. Keep going. Okay, pause. Okay, oh.
Sorry.
All right, so now we see that he broke free. And as a deep wing, when you see that he breaks free, what your job now is to do is to get into a sprint and maintain a solid cushion. So I want to show you guys the cushion that's maintained on this play, and I think it's a very nice job by the 2 officials. Okay, and then the clock is stopped, and then the short wing comes up and he grabs the spot. So that's what it should look like when it comes to free kick coverage. It should look where we keep the cushion, and the short wing comes up and he grabs the spot at the end of the return. Too many times what we see when we watch crews is we see where when we have a free kick, what happens is as soon as they get to the 50-yard line, the deep wing takes over and takes the spot. That should never happen. What should happen is that cushion should be maintained throughout the return. And then at the end of the play, the short wing should be grabbing the spot as long as he's not at the 2, 1, or end zone. Okay. All right. Go ahead. And that's Jeff.
Oh, sorry, my fault. So in terms of scrimmage kicks, punts, the couple, I'm actually going to work the opposite of this chart of the slide. So for the R, the most important thing is to be on the right side of the kicker, as well as to meet wide and deep. So you want to keep your cushion so that way if there's any bad snap, as also you can get back there, as well as to watch the play and have the angles to get any sort of roughing, running into the kicker, stuff like that. The U, you're going to start 10 yards back, and basically you're going to kind of stay there roughly. As players go by you, you're going to turn and just kind of walk and move down the field. Not going too far, to be honest. You're going to kind of watch the action over the middle of the field and the blockers as they go by you. If they don't, the linemen stay at the line, then you stay with that action. The H and the L, basically, you're going to kind of do the opposite of what we talked about on a free kick, where the deep wings on a free kick only go down maybe 10 yards, and then they have goal line responsibilities. It's kind of the opposite now. So the L and the H are going to stay on the line of scrimmage until they're both are going to stay on the line of scrimmage until the ball is kicked and crosses the line of scrimmage. After the ball is crossed, all threats are kind of neutralized. Then they're going to kind of go downfield, maybe 5-10 yards at most. And then they're going to kind of sit and officiate the play. And if they see that it looks like it's going to start to break free, then their job is to get on their horse, very similar to you saw the deep wing, and their job is the goal line responsibilities. Going back the opposite way, so B's goal line. Then the deep wings, the back judge, as you can see in this play, on this diagram, the back judge should be between 5 and 8 yards deep behind the returner, the deepest returner, and then shaded to the wide side of the field. And I would say, 10 yards or so basically you want to be out of the play. So be 10 yards wide and 5 to 8 yards deep. Then the F and the S have forward progress on this, but you want to start 8 to 12 yards behind the returner. So therefore you will be, as you see in this diagram, you will be behind the back judge. As he receives a kick, then you start to kind of work your way up. You want to officiate this play roughly 10 yards behind the play. You can get the spot from 10 yards behind the play, and you stay out of action, people flying out of bounds, and you keep not only your cushion from behind, but you also keep yourself out of danger's way. Keys. So the back judge has the returner. That's his number one main responsibility. You got KCI, you've got force touching, stuff like that. So this is your responsibility. What I would say in terms of the beanbag is if you're using a blue beanbag for fumbles, get a white or a black, something like that. That's a different color for punts. And if you're 5 to 8 yards behind, you don't need to bomb the beanbag in there as soon as he touches the ball. So let's say that B receives the ball at just based on the diagram, the 22, receives the ball, he starts running, he gets to the, let's say 30-yard line. B, your job right now is to watch the play. You're watching for blind sides, you're watching for blocks in the back. Just come up nicely and drop the beanbag at the 22 where he caught the ball. You don't need to bomb it in there at risk of hitting the returner or players in that play. Your keys also for the deep wings is the outside gunner. So you have that gunner all the way down. And then once the B returner possesses the ball and starts to make an attempt and run, now you have forward progress on the returner. H and L, like again, you stay on the midline of scrimmage. And your responsibility is the tackles, the backs, and then watching you have goal line responsibilities. R, again, your main thing is the kicker. So you want to make sure you have a wide and deep angle to, protect anything that happens with the kicker. If the ball is touched during the kick, when then there's contact, that's your responsibility. That's your call all the way. You're watching all the stuff, like I said, in the line of scrimmage. So you're watching the linemen. As long as there's threats there, stay there. So here's a play that we're punting from the, 46. We're going to be punting from the left of the screen. The black team is punting the ball. And this is a great example of punt mechanics. So your short wing, you use 10 yards from the ball, roughly 8, looks like. Short wings end up staying on the line of scrimmage during this play. So go ahead, Chris. And then the U backs up into his 10 yards. Perfect. Just pause right there. So now these guys coming down the field, the guy on the right in the black, that is going to be the deep wings key on the bottom of the screen. The guy at the top is going to be the key of the deep wing at the top of the screen. And then again, the U is kind of watching all the action in the middle. Okay, go ahead. And pause it.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. So pause it right before the end. Stop right there. That's fine. So since we punted inside the 50, if you notice, the deep wings were on the goal line. They were on the pylon. And so now they're going to come up and get the spot. This is not the short wing spot. This is the deep wing spot all game long. So the deep wing can see where the spot is. The U, as you can see, has now looked at the ball. He's got a pretty good angle of it in case he needs to help out with that yardage, since the field is not terribly well marked. But now the deep wing, you'll notice, will come up and get the spot, since there's not a whole lot of action. And he comes up, gets a spot, back judge comes up. Perfect. That was a great job of officiating that play.
Okay, so this one is another punt play where we're snapping from inside the 45. So obviously in the chat box, let me know where the deep wing should be. So let's make sure we're engaged. Let me know in the chat box, where should the deep wings be if we're punting from this yard line right here. So let me know in the chat box. That way everybody is participating. Okay, and make sure it's more than just guys from Broward. So where should we be on this? Where should the deep wings be on this play? More than just Broward guys. All right, I see one guy that's not a Broward guy. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, let's wake up. Wake up. Where should people be? Okay, good. So we're all saying that we should be on the goal line, and that is correct. And this is exactly why you need to be on the goal line. Go ahead and run it. Pause. Okay, now we see all three officials are on the goal line, so you guys were all correct. Okay, we see that the ball hits the ground around the 8-yard line. What do you guys think is going to be the most important line? It's the same answer that I just gave you before, the goal line. Okay, so we're going to run this play, then I want you to know if it's a touchback or if the ball's down at the 1. So let me know based on what you see on this play. Go ahead. And pause. Okay, so now in that chat box, let me know. Do you think that that's a touchback, or do you think that ball's down at the 1? Let me know. I know it's hard to see, so just take a guess. Okay, good. Now we're starting to get people participating. Now, if I said to you that, yes, the defender, or K in this case, was in the end zone, but the ball never crossed the plane of the goal line, and he actually caught the ball at the half-yard line, or let's just say the 1-yard line, and the ball never crossed the plane. Does that change your mind about whether or not this is a touchback or at the 1? So let me know. And of course, use that chat box. 1-yard line or touchback? 1-yard line or touchback? Good. And so the answer is that guy caught the ball at the 1-yard line, even though he was in the end, his body was in the end zone. He still reached out and he caught the ball at the 1. And the reason why we're able to rule on this is because all three of our officials were right there, and they were able to make a solid ruling. As you can see, the field judge is going to come in with the back judge, and they're going to talk right now. Keep going. They play there. They come in. They talk about it. They say, I think he caught that ball at the 1-yard line or at the half-yard line. They stop the clock. And then they say, okay, yeah, 1-yard line. And that's what the ball is put down. So that's another reason why you want to be at the goal line. That's an excellent job by those two officials there. And then that's a correct ruling. Okay. All right. Now we got something crazy for you. Let's take a look at this next play.
Okay, I guess I'll cover this one. All right, so we are punting. The line of scrimmage is the 39-yard line. So black is punting on the right. This is a perfect example of the importance of keeping your short wings on the line of scrimmage for punts. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna let it run through, and then we'll pause it and come and talk about it. You got a bad snap, punts it. It is caught by K, and okay, so pause it for a second. All right, so basically there's a bad snap. Kay went to punt the ball. Kay caught the kick and proceeded to run to about the 44. So in the chat box, what do you got?
Should the ball be dead where he caught it, or should he be allowed to run that ball after he caught it? That's what we're trying to look for here.
All right, so I'm basically seeing that it's dead of the 44. Okay, so if you can, Chris, if you can pause it, if I'm gonna test your skills, you can pause it right when he catches the ball. So line of scrimmage is at 39, kicks it, and K catches it right there. So he caught the ball at the 37. So he caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and then proceeded to go to the tackle to the 44. So the importance of this was obviously whether he caught in behind the line of scrimmage or in front of the line of scrimmage is a totally different call. And I can tell you that the coach on the black sideline went crazy on the call. And thankfully our short wings had stayed on the line of scrimmage, and we were able to explain to him that no, the ball was caught behind the line of scrimmage, therefore it can be you can, try to run and attempt to get the first down. Since he did not, and then it was, as everybody said in the chat box, it is ours ball at the 44. So good job to everybody who chimed in on that.
Okay, so then this play right here is an example of what will happen when you have a punt that is over the snap, or when you have a snap that goes over the punter's head, and then what to do, what you see. So basically, before we hit play, what you'll notice here is you have the line judge in this case is looking directly at the referee's hat. So if you're the short wing official that's looking at the referee's hat, if you have a snap that goes over the punter's head and the punter doesn't have any possession over it, doesn't have any chance of catching it, your responsibility then is to run with the referee to the goal line to keep the play boxed in and to be able to rule on anything like a safety or whatnot. The head linesman all the way up there at the box, his responsibility is to stay and to hold that line of scrimmage in case you get a kick. So in case you get a situation like the play that we showed before. So the best way to describe it is if you can see the referee's hat, you go with them. If you see the referee's backside, or if you see the referee's back, then you're the one that's staying on the line of scrimmage. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the play, and then I want you to write in the chat box what you have and what foul do you have, if you have a foul, and then what is the result of the play. So here we go. All right, so looking at what you just saw there, let me know what you got. Do you have any flag, no flag, or do you have a penalty? What do we have here? Good, 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 good. So yes, you have an illegal kick because you kicked the ball off the ground, okay? And you also have a safety because that's where the ball ended up. So they do have options here on this play. That's why it's very important that when you see for the ball that when it flies over the head, if you see the referee's hat, that you go down there and you also make sure that you're the one who's there with them to see what happens. So nice job handling that question, everybody. Nice job handling that question. Okay, and yes, it would be a spot foul there. All right. So moving on now, we're going to talk about scrimmage plays. And for scrimmage plays, your initial positioning for the referee is we want you guys to get wider. Too many times our referees are I think the old adage was 7 and 7. That's just simply too close. We don't need to be that close. And the reason why we don't need to be that close is because we have to open ourselves up as the R to see both tackles. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to be almost 12 and 12 And the reason why I'm so far back there is because there's no need for me to be that close. We have 6 other officials out there in the field that can handle a lot of that thing. So I'm going to be back and I'm going to open myself up to see both tackles and to let the play progress so I don't end up in the hip pocket of the quarterback, because these guys, as you guys all know, are getting bigger and faster every single year. So that old adage of the 7 and 7, we need to get rid of it, and we need to be back further. So that's why I'm an advocate for at least 12 and 12. The other thing is with the U, 8 to 10 yards off the ball is perfectly fine. Remember, you're keying on guard, center guard, so nothing changes from what your responsibilities are in 5-man, okay? And then one other thing that I want to kind of focus in on is that our umpires should be staying within the hash marks. We should not have an umpire line up outside the hash mark. We want you to get into a position that's in an area where you can see guard, center guard, but we don't want you to be outside of the hash marks when we teach our umpires. Okay, Chris, go ahead and talk about the L and H.
Thank you, Zach. So one thing that was important that we spoke earlier on the pregame was getting your snaps, and it plays dividends when the game actually begins, because you've already communicated with the line, with the receivers, what your expectation is. I like to give them a foot. I tell them, this is your line, this is your line. Make sure that your receivers are on or off, that they're communicating with you. But if you can handle that all pregame, it makes it much easier as a short wing, L or H, to manage that in a game. And when in doubt, make the formation legal. Talk to the players. If you just see a repeat offender, then obviously then we'll have a flag there for illegal formation. But try to work with your players and making sure that you're giving them the line and making sure that the formations are legal. On keys, which we'll try to skip through because we want to make sure everyone can look at plays. As a short wing, you're always thinking 2. It's easier for the H because you're always going to have 2, because the back judge won't slide to your strength like they will to the line judge when you have a balanced formation, for example. So if you have a 2x2, the H will have the slot receiver, and then the line judge, the L, will have the back, because the back judge will be keying into the slot receiver on their end. So that's what that means. And then either way, even when we talked about the flipping, the back judge will always key with the L, whether they're on the chain side and then going back to their original position, press box with the ball boys. So over to you, Jeff, on the deeps and the back judge.
Perfect, thank you. In terms of the field judge and side judge, I'm actually gonna start on the mechanic side of it first, and your positioning. So like Zach mentioned, these guys are getting faster and more athletic. And what I try to teach is 4+. And the easiest way to think about it is you're counting at least 4 major lines. So you're at 20 yards and then plus. And so I teach our guys to be 22 to 25 yards from the line of scrimmage. And if you have 2 very, very heavy running teams and they're not passing the ball, okay, fine, sneak up to 20. I have no problem with that. However, most of these teams are going to a passing offense now, and they're faster, and frankly, we just can't keep up with them and try to run with them. So we need to have our cushion, and we need to keep our cushion throughout the play. So as we talked about on the punts, our job as a deep wing on this particular play is we do not have spots from the inside the 2s. I'm sorry, we do not have spots from the 2 to the 2. So the short wings from the 2 to the 2 is gonna have all sort of spots, scrimmage plays, on scrimmage plays. Our spots are from the 2 to the goal line. So those 96 yards, our job is to keep our cushion. So I teach the guys start 22 to 25. And then the back judge, I'll get back to in a second. So your responsibility is not to get beat deep and to get the goal line. So if there's a long, say 55-yard run or pass play, your job is to be there either when the guy is crossing the goal line or prior to. And for your key is always the one receiver. So it's always the widest matchup. What I would say is if they're in press coverage, so let's say let's just say 2x2, since that's kind of a very popular formation right now. If there's a 2x2 and you're an S or an F, your key is the 1, which is the widest receiver and cornerback. I will say if the cornerback is 10 to 12 yards off the receiver and there's absolutely no threat whatsoever, then maybe cheat in a little bit visually and look at the number 2 matchup, especially if they're in press coverage. So, but generally speaking, your key is the widest guy. So then jumping over to the back judges. Once the F or S, whoever it is, the line setter, whoever sets that line, then you're going to be 5 yards deeper. And I always try to teach the guys, and it looks best if you guys are always on major yard lines. So the ball's on the 12-yard line, then you count 4. So you're, what is that, 15? You'll be at 35. You'll be at the 35-yard line for the deep wings, and the back judge will be at 40, at the 40-yard line. So as Chris mentioned on the keys, we're not going to really discuss specific keys, except I will say that in bound, the back judge always shades to the strong side, with the exception of if it's a balanced formation, whether it's a 1x1, 2x2, which usually it's a 2x2, is kind of a very popular formation. You're going to go to the line judge side. It does not go by the chains or the balls. It goes by the person. So wherever the line judge goes in balanced formations, you go with the line judge. And all 3 deeps are responsible for counting the defense on every play. So count, confirm. Usually on your keys for the back judge, you're either gonna be, if it's a trips formation, you're gonna have 3. But there's slides on that, so review it. And there's also, you can find it in various other forms in terms of PowerPoints and stuff like that for what your keys are.
So we're going to skip ahead the next few slides just to make sure we can cover some plays. We have about 18 minutes here, and we want to make sure we don't take up too much time. So we're going to start here with a short wing holding the line of scrimmage on a pass and the importance of holding the line of scrimmage. And I'll make sure to ask the groups to chime in on the chat box. So again, for keys, we're not going to go through too much, but this is the 2x2 formation. So like mentioned, as a line judge press box side, you're going to probably have the back, definitely actually have the back here, because the back judge will be keying in on the slot receiver. So I'm going to run this play and then show you how this play gets extended. Going through some audible. We have 3rd and long here. Quarterback extends the play. So I'm going to pause here and just ask the group, what is a short wing? So the short wing on the chain side here looking for? What is the one reason why you would want to make sure that you hold that line of scrimmage? Come on, let's get some participation. I know we're 43 minutes in. Awesome, seeing it. Yep, so we're looking for an illegal forward pass. That's the key thing here. Obviously, you'll be looking for linemen if there's a screen, but at this point, the extension, we're just really looking to make sure if that quarterback's going to be a runner or if they're going to, sorry. All right, so backs up, pass, and then rule incomplete, hit the ball and keep the play rolling. So as you can see, the quarterback threatened the line of scrimmage, backed up and threw a pass. So we've got nothing there but incomplete. So now we're going to talk about a long run for short wings and how the deep wing can help with working on the spot. So this is obviously where the short wings make their money, making sure that they can run and get those spots on long plays such as this. As we're going to see, it's going to be a run to the right side to the top of the field here.
Can you pause it real quick right there, Chris, just for a second? Yep. Okay, so keys on this. We're going to have a little participation on this. So we have what, a 2x2 and then a tight end kind of lined up behind the tackle, running back, and then a receiver to the bottom. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to say that the receiver at the bottom, since he's a single, that's going to be the deep wing. The guy at the top, the number 1 receiver, is also the deep wing. So the slot receiver that's lined up on the line of scrimmage at the top of the screen, whose key is that?
Let us know in the chat box.
Back judge. Okay, so basically everybody's saying back judge or head linesman. So in this particular play, I would treat it, it depends on, I mean, it's hard to see by the formation, but it looks like that guy right there is lined up inside the tackle box. And if that's the case, then I'm probably going to have the back judge go to the 2, have the head linesman go to that running back. To that
Correct.
one, correct.
I agree
Then
with you.
the short wing on the bottom of the screen is going to have the running back standing next to the quarterback.
Now, Jeff, I got a question for you.
Yes,
If
sir.
we take that H back and we put him outside the tackles, does that change your keys?
How about we open that up to the folks on the call? So everybody else answer that.
Okay,
See a
good.
see a few yeses, perfect.
Good.
Yes.
So if that H back
So-
gets outside the tackle, Jeff, go ahead.
Yes, so if that H back is outside the tackle, therefore you now have a trips by 3x1 set. That does change the keys. So the back judge is going to have the 3. So he'll have that H back if he's outside the tackle. The short wing on that side is going to have the 2. Perfect. Good job, everyone. All right, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
All right, so here we've got a run outside, short wing identify. Once the running, I'll pause actually and go back just to show this piece here. So as you can see, the short wing here at the top of the screen has just started to begin their movement once the running back has crossed the line of scrimmage. So the line of scrimmage is not being a threat anymore. It's beyond that. Running back is now going through their blocks. And the short wing should have their eyes now upfield looking at these blocks, making sure that it's legal, no holding, etc. Running back breaks down the sideline. I'll also pause here because an important thing, especially on that movement right here, was, are the feet in, right? And as a short wing, one of the important things that you're doing when you're running is trying to make sure that your eyes are being honest and that you can identify whether the running back or the runner is going to be stepping out of bounds or not.
Chris,
So you're trailing that play. Yep, Zach.
we also notice here that we don't see who in this picture right now.
We
Why
don't
you
see the
steal
deep, we don't see the deep wing.
We
Why
don't
are
see
you
the
still-
deep wing.
Why are you stealing my thunder, Zach?
So why is that a good thing, though, that we don't see the deep wing in the picture? Because that tells us the deep wing's doing a good job of doing what?
Maintaining cushion and getting to that goal line.
Good. Sorry, Jeff.
That's okay.
So here we've got the long run and the tackle inside the 5. So I'll go frame by frame so you can see the deep wing begins to communicate with the short wing on the 0-2-0 first, and then with a finger point, making sure that the short wing is coming up for the spot, which was marked at the 3. Short wing's already killing the clock. This is what you would like to see, as the short wings should have the spot all the way to the 2, and then from the 2 in would be the deep wing.
And if you notice too, the deep wing's eyes, they stayed with the ball carrier. They stayed with the action in front. He wasn't so concerned about staring at the 3-yard line. He got on his radio, he said 3-yard line, and then he still maintained his dead ball officiating, which is extremely important. It's a very nice job by both wing officials there.
All right, Jeff, over to you.
All right, perfect. So this is going to be a much easier trips set. So we have a 3x1 set. So we're going to have the same keys that we talked about last time. Back judge is going to have 2. The short wing's going to have, I'm sorry, the back judge is going to have 3. Apologize. Back judge will have 3. Short wing 2, and then deep wing has the 1. And then the short wing on the opposite side has the running back in the backfield next to the quarterback. And so we're going to have a short play, short pass, about intermediate pass, about 10 yards over the middle. So go ahead and run the play. So if you notice on this play, the short wings both hold the line of scrimmage. He gives it up just a little bit, and you have the pass. And again, you notice that the short wing is coming up, winding the clock. That's his spot. Perfect. Deep wing is coming in for cleanup, but kept his cushion on the play. So that would be exactly what you want to have happen on a 10 to 15 yard pass play. As the ball crosses the line of scrimmage, your short wing now has to hustle and get down to the spot and officiate the play. The deep wing is keeping his cushion or her cushion, and he's coming up and getting the spot. He's winding it since we're close to the sideline, make sure lets everybody know we're in, and then killing it. So it was a great job by both wings on this one. Okay, so this one, the most important thing to notice here, I think, is the positioning of the deep wing. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen with the deep wings in terms of positioning on scrimmage plays, and it is different on punts, but on scrimmage plays, is the deep wings are way too close to the pylon. Like they're trying to guard the pylon like it's going to run away. The pylon's not going anywhere, and you can get whether or not they step in bounds, out of bounds, but you want to be back at the restraining line. So in pregame, what I do is I will walk and take all the G's and basically almost throw them on the track or off the field. And then from there, I'm working that restraining line. I play a very, very deep wing on the goal line. So now if you run the play, you'll see exactly the importance of it because the play ends up right kind of in front of or close to the pylon. Go ahead, Chris. All right, so now the back judge keys has changed because now we have a trip set. They're 3x2. All right, so now it's the deep wing has good positioning. He's on the goal line, but deep. So all that action right there in front of him is not going to bother him or frankly take him out. He's not going to get in the middle of the play, but he's in a good position to rule on the play. And the back judge has great positioning. He started on the end line and is kind of walking over to get a little bit better angle. We teach our back judges to work in the middle of the field. It's not goalpost to goalpost, and by no means is it outside the hashes. It's literally the middle of the field and angle to your keys. So the back judge is doing a good job of closing down just a little bit before the ball gets there in the mesh point. So if you keep going. And we have a catch. And if you notice, the deep wing signals touchdown, but watches the action as he signals. There's no reason to signal touchdown facing the field with all the players behind you. He turns, watches the action. Back judge is there, signaling also with a good look at it down the end line. So it was a great job of officiating not only the play, but also what could be potentially the dead ball situations after the play.
The last one here, Jeff, on the back judge.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Long pass.
Okay. Yep. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So we have a balanced formation. Have a long pass down the middle of the field. And if you pause it. All right. So you have your back judge basically sitting in perfect position to rule on this. The deep wing is with the play. They lost a little bit of cushion, but is right there to rule on the play. All right. Go ahead. And as you can see, the back judge is right where he needs to be to have good positioning and kept the play boxed in to have a good, solid view of the play. And both deep wings are down there in good position also.
Deep wing is letting the media know to clear the sideline as well.
Yeah, he probably was yelling at somebody over there.
Okay. All right, and then now over to Zach for referee run to the sideline.
Okay, so we talked about how the referee needs to be deep and wide, and this is a really good example of how a referee is deep and wide, but how a referee is very active, especially in matters that deal with the quarterback. So on this play, we're going to see a quarterback roll to his left. Of course, now the referee is going to be on the right side, on his throwing side, so the referees line up to the right. And this also, before we move on, I want to kind of show you the umpire's initial positioning too as well. You notice how the umpire is in a good position to see center guard center. He's not all the way over to the left side of the field. He's inside the hash marks, and that's exactly where we want our umpires to be. Okay, go ahead, let's run it. Pause. Oof. Okay, so what you see there is after that big hit, you see the referee, he's been trailing the quarterback,
He's going to have the flag. The flag came in there, and he has a flag for a late hit on the quarterback, so roughing the passer. And also the one thing that won't show up in the video, but the referee runs over to the sideline there to go and get the quarterback and escort him back into the field. So if you want to make sure that your referees are doing what they're supposed to do in 7-man mechanics, anytime that the quarterback ends up on a sideline, make sure your referee goes in there and gets him and escorts him out the field, because the referee or the quarterback, we all know, is the most valuable member of the team. So you got to make sure that we protect him at all costs. So this is a really nice job. I'm going to just roll it back one more time so we can show it to you guys one more time. But the referee's initial position was wide. He trails the play. When he sees the illegal hit right there, he's right there with his flag, and we see him coming into the screen. That's what we should see from you guys too as well. Okay? So referees, make sure you protect that quarterback at all costs and make sure you come on in. All right, special situations. So normally we will line up in our traditional spots, which we've been telling you about, but there's several situations in which we trigger special things. So if we start from the 25 and in, the side judge and the field judge are going to line up on the goal line. The back judge is going to be on the end line. Make sure you guys pick one of your members on your crew to be the one who says, okay, we're at the 25-yard line. Side judge, field judge, you got the goal line. Back judge, make sure you get the end line. We had the side judge on our last two crews be the one who kind of sets that line. So it's good for you guys to pick one person to kind of quote unquote set that line. The 7 and in, what we do is we have the head linesman and the line judge go straight to the goal line. S and F are on the end line, and the back judge is also on the end line. So what we did in our crew is the head linesman would be the one who was in charge of signaling that when we're on the 7-yard line, and he was the one who said, okay, we're going straight to the goal line. What I like to do is and I'll show you guys my beautiful face here real quick. So what I'll do when I know that somebody is going to the goal line, or when we're snapping from the 6 as a short wing official, is I'll point to my eyes and then I'll point to the goal line. And basically what that's telling my other short wing across the field is that, hey, we know that the most important line is that goal line and we got to get there. I also use the same mechanic when it's like 3rd and short or 4th and short, because that helps us lock in and we know that we have a really important spot. Okay. All right. Reverse mechanics. Remember, in 7-man officiating, when you get a fumble, an interception, or a punt, if you're a line judge, you now become a deep wing. If you're a deep wing, you now become a short wing. That's the easiest way to kind of figure it out, is that when you get those things, you become the opposite official. And then, like, you'll see perfect examples of those mechanics coming up soon. And then finally, when we snap from the 3 yards and we got 97 yards to go, both short wings are going to retreat. If we snap from anywhere between the 4 and 10-yard line, the H will retreat to the goal line to make sure we don't have any type of safety or anything like that. And then the L will hold the line of scrimmage. Okay.
All
All
right.
right. So, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, if you're going to take it, it's fine. Up to you.
All right. So on this play right here, where are we snapping from? So let's get you guys back engaged at the 3-yard line. Where are we snapping from the 3-yard line? So what right now is the important line to gain? What is the important line to gain for this play? Good. It's the goal line. So we know that referee should be headed straight to the goal line at the snap. Now, since we're snapping all the way on the right hash, what could you recommend that referee do? What could you recommend that head linesman do since we're snapping all the way on the right hash? What would you recommend him to do? With his initial positioning, what could he possibly do? Back up. Good. So we want him to kind of back up here. Now, he doesn't back up here and kind of puts him in a little conundrum, but he does get to the goal line and he does make a nice ruling on the play. Okay, go ahead. Okay, goes straight to the goal line. He's at the goal line. He sees a pass and he whips around to then see the play. Okay, so the only thing that would have made that better is if that official would have started out wider. If he started out wider, he wouldn't have to have given up the goal line, but he obviously was able, still in a good position to see the play. He ripped around, signal touchdown. He looked at the players and he made a nice job with that mechanics. So That's what we talk about. Identify what the key lines are so you make sure you're there to make the big calls. Okay.
Okay, so on this one, we're going to be talking reverse mechanics. So the other special situation, on this play, obviously there's going to be a pass with an interception, and you'll see how the crew reacts to this, this turnover. So as Zach mentioned, remember, short wings become deep wings become short wings. So we've got an interception. At that point, as you can see, short wings are starting to retreat. It puts you in a difficult position because as there was a pass, you're already bailing, and now you've got to turn and go 100 and go 360 the other way. So in this situation, as you can see, it puts the short wing in a no man's land here. They give up the spot to the deep wing in a way, but it was a forward fumble. So obviously that stopped the short wing from retreating with that forward fumble, because at that point the spot becomes much more important than anything else, and obviously with the turnover happening. But as again, just wanted to show what the short wings and the deep wings were doing in that situation. Just to run it back again. Here's the interception. We've got the fumble forward and out at the 50. Try to get a better reverse mechanic. Here's a good one for a long run that actually doesn't have a forward fumble.
Take a look at the top of the screen for this one.
Deep pass. And now the return, I'll pause. As you can see, short wing at the top of the screen here, chain side, has already bailed, has a good cushion, and the deep wing is starting to make their way to catch up to make sure that they can have the spot. Keeping your eyes on lead blocks, making sure everything is legal. And then as you can see, cushion, dead ball officiating, short wings keeping their eyes on all the players out of bounds. So is the deep wing, also turned around, keeping their eyes on all the players out of bounds, and has the spot on where the returner went out of bounds. So those are few special situation plays for everyone to look at that Zach was briefing us on earlier. And then last but not least, over to you, Zach, for penalty enforcement. We're about 3 minutes over.
Okay, so yeah, this should only take us about 2 minutes. All right, so basically the easiest way to do penalty enforcement is to make sure that we're looking at each other so that everybody's involved in the penalty enforcement. So you make sure you're looking at your short wing that's on the change. If it's 5 yards, you give them a 1, 10 yards a 2, 15 yards a 3, half the distance, you can just go half on your arms, okay? The short wing that's on the change and the you guys both walk it off together, okay? The short wing that's on the press box side, you hold the spot of enforcement, and then as soon as the ball is about to be put down, you go and you run to the spot to make sure that we've marked it off correctly. And then the deep wing, you're responsible for letting us know whether or not we're going to start the new possession or the new play on the ready or the snap. And that's basically it in a nutshell. So like we wanted to say, we wanted to thank everybody. I know Robbie's going to come back on and say his piece before we end today. But we just want to thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, please reach out. We'll make sure that we give Robbie our email addresses. That way you guys can have that. And we do have a cheat sheet too that we'll be sending Robbie, and we'll be sending this PowerPoint to him as well. So hopefully we can put it up on the website. That way you guys can have it. But we look forward for everybody to have a great season. And like we said, we're grateful that you allowed us to do this presentation. And thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. I appreciate you all taking the time putting this together and sharing the information from your association. Tyrone, y'all do an awesome job there at Broward, and we appreciate everything that y'all do and taking care of this presentation. On behalf of the FHSA, we can't thank you enough for putting this together, and the 90+ attendees that we had tonight throughout the state to be a part of gaining knowledge and working on your craft and making it better for our student athletes, our schools, and our officials, making everybody better, making it well-rounded. I can't thank you all enough for everything that you all do. Looking forward in the coming weeks. I was just texting back and forth with Jeremy. He apologizes he can't be here. This is the week he and his family are on vacation. So he sent me one of those sweating emojis. He literally just left the water park wherever he is. So that's where he is tonight. Looking forward to the next couple weeks. I know he's finalizing some officials trainings in the coming weeks. And other than that, I want to thank you all. Appreciate it. I know we went over a couple minutes, and we value your time, and we appreciate you all coming on. So thanks again. Tyrone, do you have anything?
I just want to say thank you to everybody for showing up. Hopefully, the guys from the other associations around the state gain a little bit of insight into, how we do things on the football field, because once we get on the field, we all speak the same language, and that's getting the job done properly.
Yep. Yes, sir. And on that note, I want to thank you all, and I look forward to talking to you. Feel free to call the office, email us. We will share this information on the hub, and I will share y'all's information to send that over, and we'll make sure we get that posted for us. But other than that, on behalf of the FHSA, I want to thank you all, and y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Good evening, everybody.